Hello to one and all who are watching this video right now. My name is Srijani Bhaduri, and today we have with us a very special guest. Please welcome Mr. Ranjit Kokardekar, who is an accomplished entrepreneur based in Koramangala, Bangalore. He is known for his innovative ventures. With a very strong background and a keen understanding of market dynamics and Gen AI, he has successfully navigated the competitive landscape of Bangalore's vibrant startup ecosystem. Thank you so much for joining us today, sir.
Thank you. Thank you, Srijani. It's my pleasure, like I said, always talking to you, interacting with you. So yes, excited for this session as well.
In the conversation, I would like to ask you what exactly inspired you to begin your own venture?
Okay. So I think there's a combination of multiple things. One is, of course, one the city in which you are living, right? Like Bangalore has been known as a city of startups, Silicon Valley of India, and I had always read about it, but never really appreciated why it is called so, right? And if you really ask me, every city has an IT company, right? You have many of them in Hyderabad, you have many of them in Mumbai, and in fact, a lot of them now in Gurgaon, Delhi, NCR region as well, right? But I think what typically or traditionally separates Bangalore or any city which has a vibrant startup setup is the ecosystem thought process, right? Where you do not think just for yourself or for your company, but you think of the entire uh, demand supply as an ecosystem, right? In a pure sense of economics, you have different problems that exist in today's world, which essentially form the demand side of things from a business standpoint. And then you have the people who are ready to take on those problems in the shape of challenges and provide solutions, right? So that forms the supply side of the overall ecosystem, right? And I think theoretically these two can be thought of as a single entity, but ideally even the problems, when you look at it, they are uh, part of many smaller sub problems, and if you have to solution those problems, you have to really break down those problems into various sub problems, right? Same applies for solutioning as well, right? When you solution any problem, you have to break it down into different steps, pieces, and it's part, like you can think of it as a jigsaw puzzle, right? Where if you have to solve the entire jigsaw puzzle, you have to put across each and every piece together, and that's where the ecosystem part comes into picture, right? Like from an IT standpoint, I'm sure you would have used a lot of e-commerce platforms, right? The ones which are available on in the form of app as well, right? The ones which are available in the form of websites. Now, if you really think of it, a platform which is as simple as getting you grocery within a span of 10 minutes, and solving that business problem where the requirement is impulse purchase or needs that need to be addressed in a shorter span of time. But that problem itself is a very big problem to solve for, right? And when you get into the solutioning aspect of it, you see that there is a consumer facing angle, and then there is the products which the consumers desire to uh, have, and then how do you kind of end up getting the products to the consumers, right? Now there is no single entity which can solve for all of these problems in one go, right? And this is where the ecosystem part or the different pieces of jigsaw kind of fit in together, which makes Bangalore very special, right? Because you have players who can think very creatively and come up with like some amazing designs which form your UI interface, right? Like if you look at any of the apps that you see, a lot of them are based out of cities or places where such a ecosystem thrives. Then you have a lot of these products that need to be stacked up on the platform. You have a lot of logistics and supply chain that needs to be worked out. You need a lot of workforce that would make it happen in the back end, right? Once the customer places that button, clicks that button and the order reaches you, right? A lot of things happen in the backend. Probably we may not have visibility to, but which are equally complicated, right? So how do you make it happen, right? So you need to have a lot of folks working together uh, in a very seamless way. And I think cities, companies which have cracked it, I think are the ones which have a very vibrant setup. So I think coming back to the question, I think Bangalore is one such city where you walk across any street in HSR, Koramangala, Indiranagar. You see a lot of these boutique places or cafes where people are just glued to their screens, typing out something. For all you know, they are creating the next startup, right? And they all are collaborating in a seamless way. So, and what makes it possible is the attitude of folks to kind of realize that not everyone has deep pockets in terms of paying out money. So they always come up with some mechanism where you solve a problem, but you end up creating value in a very different way other than just a barter transaction of money, right? So I think that's one thing. So I, like I said, I was in Bangalore. What got me to Bangalore was my education, right? So uh, uh, I worked for almost, after my graduation I worked for like almost 7 years, and I was into the tech side of things, right? So but how do businesses run? How do they create value? How do they sustain themselves, right? How do they reinvent themselves to keep them relevant, right? Where always the questions were uh, which kind of crept into my mind, to which I could not find a very convincing answer, right? And who are these people who make it happen, right? So I think those were some of the reasons because of which I moved out of my job. I took a formal education, which would train me in understanding all these things. And as part of that education, I had some amazing set of friends in that uh, uh, institute. I graduated from XLRI as part of my uh, MBA program, and there are like really good institutes in India who 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 have some amazing set of professors and some equally amazing set of folks, peer group, right? Who have very different stories to tell. And we all got together as part of that curriculum there in Jamshedpur. I think that was one another cornerstone in me getting into the space of the startup, because it taught me formally what business is. It made me curious. It answered a lot of those curiosities which I had in me before getting into the course. And I think the best thing is it still kept me curious as to what more is possible, right? So that was one thing. And other thing is you make friends, you make relationships. I think that is the best part of it, right? I think I place that, because these are the folks who you can fall back on in terms of uh, uh, capability to give you insights in terms of what's fair, what's not fair, what's good, what's not good. I think that's the second thing. And I think the most important thing which kept me going is the ecosystem, the family ecosystem, right? Because when I entered into the space of the startup, I was I was married. I and my parents were there, so there was a sense of responsibility, right? But if it had not been for my wife Aditi or my parents, who said that, hey boss, when I said that I want to get into the venture of starting my own stuff, they said that don't worry about stuff here. You take your time. Even if you fail, it is all right. And I think that sense of where there is someone who can take care even if you fail uh, at the prime of your career, right? It's okay, right? So I think these things were very crucial. Just to sum it up, like I said, a city or an ecosystem which believes in uh, 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 the give and take relationship, while we are always in the process of taking. But I think it is equally important as to what you are giving back, right? So I think wherever people have a sense of giving it back from where they came from, I think that is one thing which kept us alive in Bangalore. Second is amazing friends, a place where you could uh, nurture your ideas. And third is by far the most important one, the family, right? So I think these three things. I hope the long winding answer kind of comes to an end there.
It's fine. Yeah, that was a very informative answer. So now, while speaking, you mentioned that Bangalore is an ecosystem and there are lots of aspects to it. But another thing is that Bangalore is also extremely competitive, and everything in Bangalore is almost always completely changing. So my next question would be like, as the co-founder of a startup, how to stay ahead in of the market trends and the competitor strategies?
Uh, how to stay ahead? I think I would rephrase that question slightly differently, Srijani, because it's very difficult to always be ahead or stay on top of your game, right? Honestly, right? Like while I would like to believe that I was or we were ahead of the game, but because it's a journey, right? Like from the time you start till the time you kind of keep on building, it's a journey. It's just like a small kid, right? A kid is born, and as the kid grows, the kid goes through different phases of life. There are phases which will uh, have some celebrations. There are phases which will have some anxiety. There are phases which will have some fear. There are phases which will have some element of sadness, right? I think the most important thing for any startup is to have that ability and capability to deal with these stages and come out in a stronger way, right? I think that's the most important aspect of uh, staying ahead, if you have to say, right? Because staying ahead can be defined in terms of numbers. Staying ahead can be defined in terms of competition. But I think while it is outward looking, it also has to be inward looking, right? And that's where when it is inward looking, you have to kind of know as an entrepreneur that there will be times where the whole ecosystem which I just spoke about will doubt the merit of your capability, will doubt the merit of your ability, right? And you have to fight back, right? As long as you believe what you're doing is appropriate, right? So uh, there will be those stages which where you will have to do, and if you do that successfully, uh, I think it will help you stay ahead of the game, right? It will help you keep afford there in the market, right? The other thing is uh, uh, I think again inward looking, right? Like if you really, I think whenever a company starts, there is an element of what is the purpose against for which you are building that company, right? So there is a vision, mission, statement that typically gets defined for any of the companies. Like if you go to any of the Fortune 500 companies, in most of the cases, you will find on their website there is a vision, mission statement, right? And that is something that will kind of help you uh, uh, find light whenever there is darkness around, right? And I think that's what defines people who end up staying alive in this competitive world and come out of it in a successful manner is the ability to kind of bounce back, not just once but again and again and again, right? Because like startup is just like life, right? Like uh, the more you try to get up and stay at top, the more life will throw challenges at you, right? Then you have to like again rewire yourself, rework your strategies, take it as a next challenge and conquer it, right? And then you keep doing that, and that's when you realize that uh, that's the summit of Mount Everest, right? Like if you really look at how people prepare for Mount Everest, Mount Everest is not just reaching that peak, right? There are so many challenges that one has to go through, uh, not just from the base camp to the summit, but even from where you are till you get to the base camp, right? Because it involves a lot of prep. I think that's what it is. Everything is like a small peak. It feels very difficult. I think you have to believe in yourself to make that happen, to conquer that peak. But at the same time, you have to make people believe in that objective. I think that's the most difficult thing, right? And the moment you do that, you realize that you have uh, more strength than you would have thought of, right? And then you go as a team, you go as a set of people who are kind of possessed by this idea of solving this problem or vision, right? And the moment the world sees that, I think half the battle is won, right? And I think people here are, or anywhere, right? Like as long as you have a decent solution, as long as they know that you are here to actually solve a problem, I think 9 out of 10 times they will give you a chance.
Yeah.
So I think that's what about it. Believe in yourself. Make people believe what you are believing in. Of course, take feedback. I'm not saying that be arrogant and shut yourself down, right? Of course, take feedback. See what people are saying, right? Of course, there is a merit. Probably there is a merit. Definitely, there is a merit. In fact, but be selective in what you hear uh, uh, in terms of implementation, right? Validate it, and what happens? You will fail, right? But it's all right. And I think one another important thing which it has taught me is uh, uh, the ability, or as a soft skill, you have to be uh, I think uh, a sense of gratitude that you should have towards each other, that I am because of someone, not just because of me, but a lot of people around me, and I think a sense of humility, right? I think that's very important, that you have to be humble to an extent that you are uh, in that keeps you in the process of learning, because the moment that humility gets out, there is a slight chance that arrogance might creep in, and it may knock you down very, very uh, badly, right? But it's all right. I mean, if that's what life wants you to learn from that, I think it's okay.
Yeah, thank you so much. That was actually really motivating. And so now coming into the specializing questions. So
Sure.
so in data analytics, there is a lot of talk about Gen AI right now. There
Mm.
is also a lot of talk about how Gen AI will probably replace jobs, or maybe Gen AI will make the process smoother. And I'm even doing an internship about data analytics. So I'm just really curious to know exactly what role does Gen AI have in data analytics, and how exactly can it help the field?
Okay. I think let's take a step back with regards to analytics itself, right? So analytics started, in its true shape and form in a very organized way somewhere in couple of decades back. So in 2005, 2006, there were few companies out here in Bangalore who were trying to address problems using data. I think that's what analytics is, right? Like if somebody asks you what is analytics, analytics is all about solving business problems using data. Data driven decision making is what defines analytics. Now, analytics by itself has four flavors to it. Okay. The first one is, like I said, it is all about solving business problems using data. So business is is the at the forefront. Okay, so business is the hero of the picture, right? So business comes to you and asks that, hey Srijani, my sales numbers are going down. Can you help me with that? So essentially, what they are asking you to do is they are asking you a what question, right? So they are asking you that what were my sales number previously and what are my sales numbers now, and you will end up answering that what question for them, which is essentially creating a lot of reports. Now, once you answer that what question for them, they will come back and ask you that, okay, now that you have told me that the sales number are going down by this rate or by this percentage, can you tell me why it is going down? So then you will do some investigative analytics, and then you will try to figure out what are the different reasons because of which the sales numbers are going down. Did you not have enough traffic on your website, or your products were out of stock, or they were poor quality, whatever it is, right? You will do the data analysis and you will figure it out. So if you really look at it, the first question is what is happening in my business, and the second question is, given what is happening, why it is happening, right? So the first part is descriptive analytics, the second part is inquisitive analytics. Okay, so this is where all your reporting and dashboarding stuff happens. It is similar to something like a person is not keeping well. The person goes to a doctor. The doc and the person says to the doctor, I'm not keeping well, I'm having a headache. So the doctor kind of asks the person to get the blood work done. So the person goes to a pathology lab, gets the blood work done, and you have the reports in front of the doctor, right? So those reports are nothing but what the business is asking for, right? Then the doctor will look at the report, and then the doctor will say that, you know what, this is wrong, this is wrong, this is wrong. They will look at different parameters. They will look at the X-ray, CT scan, and everything. So now, given that the doctor has understood what is happening, the doctor will try to understand why it is happening, right? So the doctor will connect the dots, right? That is inquisitive analytics. So the doctor is trying to figure out why it is happening, okay? Because what is very evident in the blood report, okay? Now, same thing. Now they have a visibility of what is happening and why it is happening. So now they would want to understand what is likely to happen in the future and what is it that I should do. So that is where what is likely to happen in the future is predictive analytics, and what is it that I should do is prescriptive analytics. In these two areas is where your machine learning and artificial intelligence comes into picture. Okay, so historically this has been analytics. Okay, you had what, why, and what next, and what should I do, and all of this was getting solved uh, uh, in the last year and a half. I think machine learning has been there since a long time, so there is nothing new that we that it has been done in the space of machine learning, because mathematics, all machine learning is all about mathematics. So the theory around all the algorithms, everything has been there for even in the right from the 19th century, 20th century. It's just that now we have data, and we have now a lot of business problems for which the data is available, because of which machine learning is getting used. AI happened recently because there has been some solid progress on the compute. So you have, while the data size grew, uh, you needed powerful compute that could churn out data that can be consumed by business very, very effectively, right? Like if you have, if to give you an example, when you shop on Amazon, right, and you select any product, it tells you products you may like. Something like Netflix. You watch a movie on Netflix, it tells you something you may like, right? So what happens in the background is there is an algorithm. It will look at a lot of data points, right, and it will try to make a match that things that you are likely to enjoy as part of the content, right? So while theoretically it was always there, what was lacking was the technical capability, right? So the AI part over the last 8 years has grown immensely because of the improvement of compute. You have a lot of, I'm not sure if you have heard about things like GPU, CPU, which have come to the foray, and that made compute very, very strong, efficient, and something which would be making an impact to the end user. So I think that is the most important thing. The theory always existed. The implementation to a level where it created an impact was has been made possible because of the advancement in the compute side, right? So now coming to Gen AI, right, which is another subset of AI, right? So if you really look at AI, there are AI is all about solving problems on unstructured data. So data exists in two forms. One is structured data, other is unstructured data. And structured data is all about. Have you worked on Excel?
Yeah.
So Microsoft Excel has rows and columns, right?
Yeah.
That is structured data. Anything that can be arranged in the form of rows and column is structured data. Unstructured data is your books, right? Because it exists as pure text. It is audio, right? Like we are speaking right now. It is video, like all the CCTV cameras or the different things that are placed, which would capture feed in a video format, right? Now, if somebody asks you a question, did uh, how many cars came to your society, right? Uh, mm, if if there is a table which says that uh, uh, 12 to 1 5 car, 1 to 2 6 cars, right? All you need to do is just add it up, right, straightforward in that Excel sheet, and for the entire 24 hours you will get the answer. But what if the data is available in the form of video feed, right? It becomes very difficult, right? So that's where computer vision AI kind of stepped in, and then object recognition happened, right? You identify car, and you should ensure that a scooter is not identified as a car, a truck is not identified as a car, because you are looking for only cars, right? Which means that now you have to build algorithms which are intelligent enough to identify a car as a car and nothing else, right? So that's where your AI came into picture. And what example I gave you is on video, right? You put the same thing on language, right? Where there is even images also, but predominantly language, right? So Gen AI is an extension of AI, artificial intelligence, where now the AI engine is capable of generating a lot of content, right? Because earlier, previous to AI, whatever it was happening was all around identification, right? It still did not have the capability to generate content in whatever format, right? I mean, there were always natural language engines which were available, which will tell you what type of content it is, whether it is romance, action, right? You give that algorithm the content of the book, and it will tell you what kind of genre it belongs to, right? But if you tell it to write a book, it would not be able to do it, right? That was the piece of puzzle which was still not solved using the AI piece. I think that is something which got bridged in the last 2 years when the Gen AI capability came into picture, right? So that's where you have large language models which have been trained on a lot of content which is available on the website, which is available on the books, which is available practically anywhere and everywhere, right? And then through those large language models was Gen AI kind of made possible, right? So Gen AI solves very specific set of problems when you look at it from a business standpoint, right? Of course, for us consumers, end consumers, I think it is fascinating, right? And of course, it makes us believe that every all the problems are addressed using Gen AI. I think we are yet to reach that stage. uh, I think it's if you going back to the kid example, it is very early days for Gen AI right now. I think it will take a lot of time, and that's where the opportunity is for Gen AI to make itself relevant across the entire problem universe that exists for businesses and for common man. I think it has made a very promising start. Through all the capabilities that we see in today's world. But I think there is still a lot of things that can be addressed using Gen AI, but haven't been. I think that's where smart folks like you need to come up and uh, learn a lot as to what problems exist and try to bridge that gap through a solution. Uh, I think possibly through Gen AI. So my sincere request here, when I talk to anyone, is always focus on the problem, because see, Gen AI is a solution to something, right? It has solutioned something. Uh, uh, if you look at a problem and then devise a solution, if Gen AI happens to be it, great. But I think as you grow, I think try to identify what problems exist in your company, in our society, and try to solution it. I think solution is more important. How you solution is is part of the story, right? So the hero of the story, like I always say, is the problem, right? The solution is something which will define by itself. Does it answer your question?
Yeah, that actually answered many more questions which I had to ask. Um, Thank you so much, sir. That was actually really informative and really motivating. And data analytics is always something which I was interested in, but ends up getting fuzzy around the edges. But today I actually understood it in a crystal clear form, and I'm pretty sure, sir, you helped my peers understand data analytics also in a very clear manner. Thank you so much for giving us your valuable time, sir. It was a pleasure talking to you.
Thank you, Srijani. Thank you for interacting with me. It's always fun, and I get to learn a lot of things when I speak to you. So thank you for having me in the session. Thank you once again, and all the best to all your friends. Do well, and keep your curious outlook on.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you.